Welcome to Revenge Justice, where every wrong finds its payback.
12 years ago. Say it slowly. Let it sit. 12 years. I tell this story now, from the other side, from a life I like. A life full of chaos that feels good, a life with a husband I love, 3 children, mornings filled with the sound of cereal crunching, laughter, little arguments over shoes and socks, ordinary noise. I tell it with no regret, not one shred. Not because I'm cruel, but because some things, need to be corrected, before they calcify, into a pattern. I was with her, for 3 years. Engaged, for a time. The first months, everything was easy. Simple. Light. Fun. Inside jokes, lunches, the slow folding together of 2 lives. Then, something small started to shift. Little questions, at first. Where are you? Who were you with? Why didn't you answer? The tone hid behind concern, like a mask. But it got heavier, more frequent, more exacting. She wanted my schedule. Not in a let's plan together way, not like a normal partner would. But in a way that felt like ownership. I was to tell her, in full, every minute of my day. Deviate, and the mood would curdle, fast. She called it paranoia. It was easier, for her, to claim fear, than accountability. She blamed past relationships, ghosts that supposedly taught her to guard herself, by controlling others. She insisted. I'd never given her reason to doubt me. Which, when you think about it, is the strangest thing anyone says, when they're doing the doubting. I had never cheated. Never strayed. Never gave her the smallest opening. But she wanted to keep me on a leash, and she wanted to be the one holding it. I told myself. I could live with it, for a while. People invent patience, for others. I made excuses. I leaned into being practical. This will pass, she's stressed, we're planning a wedding. But the control grew. And with each small command, my freedom shrank. I began to notice patterns, small ones, that eventually formed a truth. One of them was Wednesdays. I worked a job where overtime wasn't a trap, it was currency. Put in more than 40 hours, and I could take days off, whenever I needed. I had a friend there, a brother, really, someone I trusted, someone who jokes, someone who holds your back. He worked at the same fabrication facility, where she also worked. He built things, metal things. She sorted the world into boxes, and sent it out. Their roles were different. But their paths crossed. I messaged my friend one day. I told him what I wanted to do. A surprise, early. A little something, before the anniversary. Something ordinary, yet special. Something that reminded her. The world has pockets of joy. Even when she wanted to control mine. He said. I'll check her schedule. And that is where the pattern stood out. She had been taking Wednesdays off. Not randomly. Regularly. Right around the time the control started. 12-hour days. Monday through Friday, except Wednesday. Half day, or off. I don't like to say the word suspicious. But, the little things, line themselves, into truth. If you let them. I stacked some leave. I had banked days. I could spare one Wednesday. I planned the surprise, simple, clean, perfect. I would leave for work, as usual. I would make it look routine. I would wait. I parked. Where I could see the exit, across from the shopping center. Far enough, to be unnoticed. Close enough, to see the car. I put on my jacket, like slipping into a scene. I walked out, like any other day. I didn't go. Instead, I went home. Sat at the desk, the old laptop, full view, living room, bedroom door, bathroom, kitchen. I set it up for remote access. I configured the webcam to notify me if it saw motion. I did it quietly, carefully, like someone setting a watch. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was dropping something off. Maybe family was visiting. Maybe it was nothing at all. I waited. The clock moved, like a metronome. Tick, tick, tick. Then I saw him. A red Mustang, with a decal. The kind of car that announces itself. He walked through the door, as if he belonged. He was her cousin, by marriage. Family, or at least, until that afternoon. She unbuttoned his shirt. As if habit were an apron. They kissed. The kind of kiss that forgot time, forgot consequences, forgot everything. I made the URL. I created the live feed. I sent it. Slowly, deliberately. To 2 places. The family group chat. And the friend group chat. Both held people who mattered to her reputation. People who would feel the sting. I didn't act impulsively. I acted with the cold arithmetic of someone who had been eroded by months of another person's hunger for control. I did it because, at the end of everything, the rightness of small cruelties needs an answer. Even if it is quiet. The phone started ringing. At first, a text. Then another. Then a call. My phone vibrated, like a heart. Minutes later, a storm. People called, messaged, confusion, anger, a chorus. Her phone did not care. She was busy. They were busy. Already making themselves into the smallest kind of indiscretion, on a couch. Let me be clear about legality. And the state I lived in. Recording your property is allowed. The apartment, it was mine. I was the only one on the lease. I had every right to the devices in it. She was technically a guest, in how the law would narrate it. Time thickened. Her phone kept ringing. Then it stopped. She finally answered. Someone else, the cousin's mother. Not a measured conversation. The first words, like a live grenade. Stop fucking my son. Those words hung like a bell tolling. I don't remember if I played the feed louder. Or if the speaker just captured the fallout. But I remember. The way time thickened. She froze. He staggered. They tried, clumsily, to pull fabric back into place. He stumbled, tripped, crashed into the coffee table. Left a divot. The apartment seemed to tilt. It was grotesque and ordinary, at once. I walked to the front of the apartment complex. To meet him as he ran for the exit. He froze. Like a man realizing he's been walking toward an unseen cliff. The apology started, fast, wet, stammered. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. He was small. Not the villain in a movie. Just a frightened, confused man, caught. What happened next might be called revenge. It was not my proudest hour. If you ask me now, I will tell you this. I nearly crossed a line. He was trespassing. That fact is important, legal, otherwise. There was a scuffle. There was a moment where I saw darkness in my own hands. A hunger to make someone else feel the acute pain of embarrassment that I had felt, quietly, for months. He ended up with an injury. I ended up with a 6-week cast. Legal trouble whispered around us, like a shadowed rumor. The police saw what had happened, on private property. I was not prosecuted. He was not invited to family photos, for months. I went back upstairs. The apartment felt like an echo chamber. She was there. Clothed, crying, small, furious, hollow. Her face had the stain of what she had been doing. And in that room, there was no place for excuses. I asked a blunt question. Is that snot, or cum, on your face? My voice was flat. Cold. I wanted her to know. The world now called her. She could have answered, lied, begged, pleaded. She did not. I told her not to bother. I gave her 1 hour to remove everything. Everything in that apartment belonged to me. Clothes, some makeup, utensils, everything else, mine. Her mother, her brothers, refused to take her in. Embarrassment has gravity. Shame compounds into exile. The cousin's mother threw her son out. Rumor spread like a small, lethal perfume. People looked sideways, fast. She became untouchable. Not in the way one might hope. Untouchable, like a word you no longer want to say. I remember sitting in my car later. Hands shaking. Thinking of the way the world rearranges after exposure. There was satisfaction, yes. But not glee. Relief, mostly. 4 months. I had carried the weight of someone else's small cruelties. The way my time was owned and spent by someone who thought controlling me equaled loving me. Months seeded, inch by inch. That had to stop. People assume my actions were instant justice. They imagine bright, simple, like thunder. Revenge, when it tastes of truth, is more like water wearing away stone. Deliberate, patient. Revenge, when it tastes of truth, is more like water wearing away stone. Deliberate, patient, inevitable. The town moved on, whispers softened into memory. She faded, a biography of poor choices, untouchable in her own small world. I built a life of intention. I married again, 3 children, mornings filled with laughter, cereal bowls, little socks scattered on the floor, ordinary chaos. I learned the only way to avoid becoming someone who silently takes, who silently loses, is to draw lines. Kind lines, sometimes firm lines, sometimes firm enough to be remembered. The past is a memory, sharp, sometimes soft, always instructive. If there is one lesson, one truth, it is this. Boundaries matter. Patience can be kindness, or complicity. Never let someone erode your time, your dignity, your freedom, inch by inch. And sometimes, the world needs a slow, quiet correction, before it's too late. Because life is too short to hand over your days to someone else's control. So, remember this story, not as revenge, but as a warning, as a lesson, as proof that you have the power to protect your own life. If you enjoyed this story, and want to hear more, stories of revenge, justice, and life lessons that make you think, don't forget to like this video. And subscribe to my channel. Turn on the notification bell, so you never miss a moment, a twist, or a lesson. Because sometimes, the world doesn't wait, and neither should you.